Hey, hey, girls. Oh, my camera angle's funny. I feel weird. I have not. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, awesome. I have not been in my office. Uh, I don't even know if I've been in it once since we brought home Winnie. And because I have to work like downstairs in a chair where I can be within half a second reach of the crazy pants animal at all times. So I said to my husband, I'm going to go upstairs and sit like a human in a quiet space so that I can talk about this topic without a dog clawing me or biting me or I feel like I'm on vacation, girls. Being up here away on my own for a few minutes, I feel like I'm on a little like holiday. All right, I'm just letting a few folks in here real quick and we will get started. I want to make sure you can see my screen, right? You can see me and you can see my slide, right? Okay, awesome. I did it. I am so bad. Like, there are so many things about technology that I am good at. Like, I did programming my whole life. Like, I know how to use computers. Like, I'm okay at things. But you put me behind Zoom and tell me to share my screen. I am a mess all the time trying to figure it out. I can never share the right screen, or I'm accidentally sharing my bank account, or I'm accidentally sharing something I just don't want to share. Like, oh my word, I'm so bad at it. So bad at it. So, all right, girls. Well, we can go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's nice to see so many faces on here tonight, and I will absolutely have time at the end of this to answer your questions. And so, as we're going through this topic, please jump on, and at the end of it, I'll have a Q&A and write them down so that we can talk about your questions. I'm happy to answer any questions about this topic that, or other topics for that matter, that you want to talk about. That's what I'm here for tonight. I love doing these evening, just one-off Zooms here and there for anyone that wants to come, whether it's existing client or somebody that's never heard of me before or somebody that's been following for a while. I just love to get on and encourage you guys because many of you here know my story and know what a struggle it has been to lose weight. And even though I've done it completely in the spotlight, it's been hard. It's been hard to walk this weight loss journey. And it was really, really, really hard to get to the point in my life where I was ready to make these changes. I battled food addiction and all of these things, just the on again, off again, the quitting on Monday, the quitting on Friday, the quitting on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday. All of the days I've quit them. And that life, while I remember so much about it and am able to recognize it in women that come to me asking for help, it brings me right back to that struggle. And that is why I continue to do this, is because I know the pain of struggling to stay on any diet, whether it's trim healthy or anything else that I've chosen. I know the struggle behind on again, off again dieting because I've done it my entire life. I feel like I'm in a place now where I'm on again and staying on again. But in all reality, I believe that I am potentially a bad day or a trip and fall away from some really poor choices that could lead me back to some habits I never want to experience again. So, because I know that, because I don't feel like I'm completely fragile in my health journey, but at the same time, I'm very protective of it now because I've learned so much about myself in this journey and I've learned what real change requires, and it's the thing that I never chased before, and that was my mind and my heart set. Those two things that they're never what I was chasing in the on again off again diet. I was chasing skinny. That's what I chased my whole life. I was chasing weight loss. I was chasing a size. I was chasing a look. I was chasing to feel a certain way. I was never chasing a mindset and a heart set, and that is the difference for me now. And so I will continue to share on this topic over and over and over again because I know the struggle. So that's why we're talking about quitting. What brought on this topic is I think it's January 10th or the 11th. There's a variety of days that it's talked about, but it's called Quitter's Day. Every January, it's right around the 10th, called Quitter's Day. And it's called Quitter's Day for obvious reasons. So many of us in the world make a resolution. We are gung ho. We are ready to go. We are ready to kill it on the first day of the year. And then by the 10th or the 11th, our motivation is out the window and our momentum is it's slowing down. And it's really around that time that a lot of us quit. And I've done that so many times in my life that I thought I really want to talk about that, right? I want to talk about that topic because it's one that most of us here have walked through many times before, right? So before we do anything else, I want you to take a deep breath with me because I already know how this topic lands. And some of you maybe almost didn't come. Some of you came curious, but maybe you're guarded about this topic. Some of you are already bracing, wondering if is this going to be another message that tells you what you already know and leaves you feeling guilty or leaves you feeling worse. Okay, so let me say this clearly right out of the gate. This is not a shame talk. This is not a you need to try harder talk. This is a truth talk because quitting costs every one of us more than we realize. And we call it normal when it's normal to quit. That's why there's a quitter day because it's so normal that they actually named the day. We've been calling it normal, and it's the very thing that's keeping us stuck in that cycle. And so tonight is about waking up a little bit. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about waking up. So now let's see. Can I get my slides to work? I did it. It worked. It's actually a miracle, you guys, that slide worked. Usually I give up and say, you know what, we're just gonna skip the slides. Because even though I spent an hour putting them together, I can't figure out how to get them to show. Here we are. So here's something I want to normalize immediately. Most of us don't quit at the beginning. Day one, that's not when we quit, right? We don't quit when our motivation is skyrocketed. We don't quit when everything is falling apart. We quit when we're tired. That is really the trigger. And it's emotionally tired, mentally tired, physically tired, but it's about being tired. By the time Friday hits, most of us have lived several emotional lives in a week. We've made decisions. We've managed people or children or puppies. We have handled other people's expectations. We have adjusted some plans during the week. We've swallowed frustration. We've done the laundry. We've done the dishes 87 times, and we've kept going. So if you find yourself getting to the Friday we're talking about at the end of the week, and that's where you find yourself quitting, it's not because you're a weak person. It's not because motivation is necessarily gone. It's not because everything has fallen apart. It's because you're depleted. You're depleted, and depleted people, anyone who is depleted, doesn't need a lecture, right? We just need understanding and we need structure in our journey. I think that a lot of women secretly believe that quitting on Friday means something about their character. And I believe that because I've heard people talk about it. I've heard people that I've coached say things like, yeah, I quit every Friday or Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. It could be any day. Friday is just an example here. But Yeah, I've heard women call themselves losers. I've heard them call themselves quitters. I've heard them, you know, so much name calling I've heard from people, names that I used on myself many times. And we've led ourselves to believe that Friday is means something about our character. Like it's a proof that we're not disciplined or it's proof that we're not faithful. But Friday is not about failing or being rebellious. It is about being exhausted. It is about exhaustion. By Friday, most of us, if we have a bit, most of us live busy lives, Monday through Friday, and sometimes through Saturday and Sunday. But a lot of times, the major core of our work week and school week, we're exhausted. By Friday, our brain is done. It's not looking to sabotage me. My brain is just looking to survive at that point. It's saying to us, please make something stop. I need something to stop. And when we don't recognize that feeling, we end up shaming ourselves instead of solving the real problem. So I want you to hear very clearly that the urge to quit that we get is not about failure. It's not about being I used to call myself a screw up all the time. It's not about, I used to say things like, I mean, harsh words, you guys. Okay. I said harsh words to my things. You're such an idiot. What is wrong with you? Why are you so stupid? Why can't you figure this out? What is wrong with you? I used to say harsh things like that to myself. I recognize now how damaging that was. But I said things like that to myself all the time. And Friday was a big quit day for me because I was spent after a week of work, going to the office every day, working a hard job, homeschooling a kid at the same time. It was tough. I looked at that urge to quit right then as failure. I was a failure. I was a screw up. I was a mess up. I'd never get it right. But what it really was a signal. It's your brain and your body agreeing that something needs attention. But instead of asking in that moment, what do I really need? We've been answering the signal with the easiest way out in that moment, and that is quitting. Quitting feels good in the moment for 5 minutes. It feels good when, for me, the plate of Chinese food came and I was like, ah, relief for 5 minutes. But then over and over and over and over and over again, it cost me confidence, it cost me peace, and it cost me trust in myself. Relief and peace are two very different things. And that distinction right there changes everything. When we recognize peace and relief, they're not the same thing. Relief says, I need this feeling to stop, whatever that is in our lives, whether it's about, in this case, our food journey, but it could be about anything in our lives. Relief says, I need this to stop. I cannot have this feeling anymore. I need this feeling to stop. Peace says, I can stay steady even when that feeling exists. Relief is fast. Relief comes in a wave. It's short-lived, but it comes quick. But peace is deep. Relief runs away in the sight of any struggle, but peace remains steady. It remains rooted. And most of us have been choosing relief, by nature. We call it peace because that's what we feel in the quick moment of relief. And we wonder why nothing actually settles because we quit looking for relief of, in our head, it's the relief of not having to cook the complicated recipe or not having to deprive myself of this or not needing to think about food at all tonight. I don't want to have to think about it. I just want to do the easy thing. And we fall into that trap of believing that that's going to bring us some peace for the weekend. I need to disconnect my brain from all this difficult thinking about food all the time. I hear that all the time. Like, KJ, I'm so sick of thinking about food. I just want to eat and watch a movie. I don't want to have to think, what's the fuel? What's it going to do to my body? What's this? What's that? I don't want to have to think about it. So we quit We say, you know what, I'm done. I'm quitting, even if it's for the short term. I'm quitting for the weekend. I will deal with this on Monday because we think it's going to bring us some peace over the weekend, for example. I'm just choosing the weekend as an example. It could be any time for you. And we call it peace. We wonder why, like, why do I never feel that continued peace? And it's because relief and peace are two very different things. Relief also says, I deserve this. It says, this is a treat because I've worked hard. I deserve this. But peace says something very, very different. I can care for myself without quitting. Relief says, I'm going to deal with it Monday. I'm out. I'm going to deal with it Monday. Peace says, I stay present right now. Relief quits and walks away. Peace remains obedient. And when I use the word obedient, I say that not obedient to the rules of THM, Trim Healthy Mama, not the obedience to the rules of any nutrition plan that you have chosen. It's not about being obedient to that. For me, it is about honoring my temple. Now, God has made it very, very clear to me that what He wants for me is to take care of my body. I don't always like being told that, okay? I didn't really want to be told by the Lord, oh, I need you to take care of your temple. But He made it very clear to me in a way that, not audibly speaking to me, but I felt that conviction from the Lord in a way that I have never felt another message from Him in my life ever, ever, ever. When I was getting consistent in devotions, I was reading about temples and sacrifices and plagues and all the things. And in every reading, there was something, some phrase, some word, some moment, whether it was a comment from somebody watching devotions or it was a verse or something. I kept feeling this heavy conviction, this heavy weight of, I need you to take care of your temple. Your body is mine. Take care of it. And so when I say obedience, that's what I'm referring to. The Lord has made it very clear in my life that He wants me to be obedient to Him with my food choices. And it doesn't mean, oh, He says I must have scrambled eggs and green beans for breakfast. It's about making healthy choices, making decisions that are not about comfort and feelings in the moment. They may have comforting properties, but I'm not turning to food in a way to distract myself from what I really need. Obedience does not always feel good. Say that right out. It doesn't always feel good. I can tell you that when I go out to eat with other people that are eating off plan, as silly as it sounds, I can get really agitated at times at other people's decisions. Not because they're making a poor decision, but because I feel like I can't. I can get irritated from time to time. Obedience isn't always pleasurable, but I can tell you this, it always produces fruit. It always produces fruit. When I finish a meal with people who are eating off plan, and I'm not saying this out of judgment whatsoever. People can eat whatever they want. That's fine. And I'm referring specifically to these humans that I live with that prefer to eat the off-plan things and the deep fried things that KJ really likes, okay? And they will eat in front of me because I've told them it's okay. I need to be okay with that. Fried chicken tenders are not going anywhere. They're gonna remain in the world. I have to be okay with being in the same room as a chicken tender, okay? I gotta be okay with it. But it doesn't always feel good. But when that meal is over, even if it's for a moment, you guys, I always feel a sense of, I don't know if it's accomplishment or it's not pride. It's a sense of like, see, I didn't need that. I didn't need that fried chicken tender, even though in the moment I wanted to smack it right out of my husband's hand. And I really don't like the look of his face right now. I didn't need that chicken tender. I'm okay. I didn't die. It always produces fruit. And every time I do that, I get a little bit stronger, and a little bit stronger, just like a strength training at the gym. The more I practice it, the stronger that muscle gets. And then it just has become nature. Like I eat what I eat, they eat what they eat. I still have moments where I want to smack something out of somebody's hand, but I keep it inside. I just close my eyes for a moment and picture myself shoving him out of the car while it's still moving. I don't actually do it. I just envision it for a quick second and then I move on. Just kidding. I would never, probably never do that. Probably not, never would do that. Isn't it interesting too, you guys, that have you ever noticed that we tend to quit right before consistency would actually start to work? Have you ever noticed that? Right when we get to that point, it's kind of a self-sabotage thing, right? That's not accidental. That is because staying doesn't feel dramatic. It feels boring. When you get into the routine of staying on plan because it's just what you do, it doesn't feel like a big deal anymore. If you're counting your days on plan like I did and the counter keeps going up and up and up and it just becomes what you do, you don't even think about it, then it kind of becomes boring. That counter isn't that exciting anymore. It feels almost like quiet. It's unseen. And when you're first starting, you're celebrating yourself like, "Oh my gosh, I stayed on plan a whole week. Oh my gosh, I stayed on plan 2 weeks." And then you get into it for a while, and right before consistency is gonna like take off and just become the new norm, that's when we tend to quit because it doesn't feel exciting anymore. Those are the moments that I believe we really build trust between ourselves and our God. That's where I really believe that trust starts to build. The lie that shows up on Friday sounds like this. It says, staying consistent right now won't matter anyway. What difference does it make? It's just a weekend. It's just a meal. It's just a takeout order. I've worked hard all week. It's not, it's one meal. One meal isn't going to define my whole journey, which, there's little bits of truth in all of that, right? There you can find truth. And is one meal the definition of my entire life of health? No, it's not. But we tell ourselves that that consistency isn't going to matter anyway. If another good example is if we're stuck in our weight loss journey, we've been working so hard and we're staying on plan and we're being consistent, and no matter what we do, the scale doesn't move. We say, you know what difference does it make anyway? I'm not losing weight anyway. I might as well get the takeout or whatever it is. I might as well eat that Oreos. They're sitting over there on my husband's desk. I might as well go eat those Oreos. That lie is very dangerous because it disconnects obedience in our health journey from impact. It puts the two in a separate category. Scripture never disconnects those two. God never says obedience only counts if it feels powerful. We're to be obedient all the time, right? In all things, big, little, we're called to do that. Not just when it feels like it's making impact. God doesn't, I believe this, I love to call this out to say that this is my journey, and I know so many of you here are followers of Christ, and you may not have had that same level of conviction that I have had to make your health journey a very intertwined part of your faith. I have. I have. It's changed everything about how I approach my thoughts and my mindset and my faith and my food. And so I want to throw that out there to say, you may not have that same level of conviction, and that's okay. We all have different guidance from the Lord, but I do believe that God calls every one of us to take care of this temple that He's given us. He's created a body that is good and he's given it to us. And I believe that an expectation is that we take care of it. Does that mean we can never eat an off-plan meal the rest of our life or we're sinning? No, that's not what I believe. But I do believe that we should be taking care of our bodies and our temples. He doesn't, I don't believe that he looks at my health journey and says, well, she was consistent, you know, good for her. Or she was so exhausted. So this choice doesn't really count because she was tired. I'm not going to look at that. Obedience doesn't look at moments of tired or any of that. Friday obedience is what builds Monday's confidence. Monday is coming, and Friday is closer to Monday than it is the past Monday, right? And so we're building confidence by staying on plan, confidence in our choices, confidence in our, I should say, strength. And it's building those muscles for the day that's coming, Monday. Quitting trains our brain just as much, if not more, than staying the course does. Because let's face it, quitting in the moment is way more fun. When we are working hard Monday through Thursday and we're eating all the good things and we're like, man, this is awesome. We're getting some endorphins from it because we're feeling good. We've got some rhythm going. And then Friday comes and someone offers us takeout or whatever it is, or Chinese food. We're tired. We're done. We just want to order in and not have to think about it. The excitement that comes, the enjoyment that comes with eating that short-lived meal, right? Hit some endorphins. There's some dopamine hitting at that moment. And that gets trained into our brain even more, I believe, even more than staying does because the dopamine hit that comes with it. You do not need more motivation. Okay? I hear this one all the time. Every time I get on a new client one-on-one call, one of the very first things that somebody says to me, and it's fine, I'm ready to hear it, okay? But one of the very first things that I hear is when I say, so if I could ask you what you need more than anything from me, what would it be? Every time it's, I need motivation. But guess what? You don't need motivation. Motivation is emotional. It's unreliable. Motivation comes, motivation goes. What you actually need is a decision that you're not reopening this case anymore. I am making a decision and not quitting. Now, it's easy for me to say that, but every time we revisit the decision to quit, every time we make quitting an option, we're just draining energy more and more and more. And what do drained people do? Drained people quit. And what do quit people feel? It makes them feel drained, and drained people quit. It's just this vicious cycle that goes on and on and on. You're not inconsistent because you lack discipline or motivation. You're inconsistent because you're deciding, you're following what your brain is trained to do. You are deciding the same thing over and over and over again. And you've practiced quitting over and over and over again. It's become the natural, right? We're also inconsistent because we're deciding these choices every day. What am I going to eat? What do I need to eat? What meal plan am I going to follow? Am I going to be Wizzy? If you're new to THM, that's wisdom principles. Am I going to eat foundational THM? Am I going to leave THM and eat keto? What am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? We think about that all the time, right? What we think about whether or not it's worth it. Is this worth it? We think about, does today even count? Decisions exhaust the brain. Our systems are designed to preserve energy and protect us. And Friday is when that decision fatigue is at its most for most of us. That is when decision fatigue is like, oh, I don't want to have to think about what to eat. I don't care if it's worth it. I don't care if today counts. I don't want to think anymore. Decision fatigue comes in and kills our consistency. Negotiation with ourselves when it comes to that moment where we're deciding, am I going to quit? Am I going to eat my what's the salad called? My goats in the berry patch salad that I had planned for tonight. Am I going to eat that salad? Or, we begin to negotiate with ourselves. In that moment, that feels compassionate because we're giving ourselves a choice to make things easier. It would just be simpler if I ordered pizza with the family, then I wouldn't have to do anything. And, what's one meal? I'm tired. Negotiating with ourselves feels compassionate in the moment, but really it's waving the white flag of not wholly surrender, but quitting surrender. It's that in disguise. We say, I'll loosen up tonight. I'll be stricter tomorrow. Monday's coming. I've got a meal plan ready. I don't really know what I have on my plan for the rest of this week, so I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it later. If you're anything like me, I'm really good at compartmentalizing. I'm really like I am a rock star when it comes to pushing a thought aside and dealing with it later and acting like that it's not a problem in the moment, which is one reason I was so great at quitting on a Friday and saying, you know what, I'll deal with this Monday. I could literally shut it out of my brain. I have that capacity to just say, deal with that later. I'm going to file that into this Monday's folder and I'll stress about it then. But consistency does not negotiate with emotions. Consistency made from a heart of obedience honors God anyway. It honors God anyway. When it's hard, when it's difficult, when we don't want to, when we're tired, it honors God anyway. Obedience also uh, does not ever wait for better feelings. Obedience, it doesn't wait until the week starts feeling fair to us. When we have an awful, terrible week, obedience doesn't wait for the week to get better before it kicks in. It stays. It's and staying with, especially with the heart of obedience, builds something that quitting will never, ever, ever be able to build in us. I want to talk about grace for a minute too, and I think this is a super important topic. And I've said before, grace is not permission to quit.
Yeah.
Grace, I think we often abuse grace. I think grace can be very much abused because, like myself, the compartmentalizer extraordinary, that's a hard word to say, can say, you know what, grace, I'm gonna eat this with grace, and 3 hours later, I'll get back on plan. Grace in 3 hours. You hear it all the time on the Trim Healthy page, right? Oh, grace in 3 hours, grace in 3 hours. And I'm not in any way saying that we shouldn't ever have grace. I don't mean that. But I also think that grace gives us the strength we need to stay. Grace doesn't need to be an excuse. Grace does not need to be something that we run to when we're looking for a way out. Conviction says there's a better way. Shame instead says I'm the problem. I'm here for conviction, holy conviction, not shame. The Lord has never once shamed me for a poor food decision. There's always been grace, but there is conviction. Grace is not free of conviction. I still have that conviction of I need to make choices that honor the Lord. And that is powerful, really powerful, you guys. At the end of the day, quitting on Friday is not about food. It's not about food. Food is just where the pattern shows up. Anyone who has a struggle with on again, off again dieting honestly, guys, we're no different than somebody who's trying really hard to quit smoking or trying really hard to quit a drug or trying really hard to quit alcohol or other vices that people struggle with. At the end of the day, we're all exactly the same when it comes to those things. It's not really about food. For us, that is where the pattern shows up. It's about the follow through. It's about trusting ourselves. It's about integrity. And for us, food really becomes the training ground of where we're training ourselves to be stronger. And I think that is where quiet obedience is practiced. It's not in the big, huge emotional moments, it's in the ordinary, everyday decisions, the tired, exhausted, end of the week decisions. That is where we practice quiet obedience. I think anyone can be consistent when it's easy. You're losing weight, the weight is falling off and melting off, and your clothes are getting smaller, and you're like, I'm rocking this. It's easy at that moment to stay on plan because you're seeing the fruit happen right then. And when that happens, it's easy to stay consistent when you're seeing success. I think real identity is built when it's inconvenient, when it's difficult, when it's really hard, when you've been working so hard to lose weight and you're like, what, 0.0000 ounces, 0.0001 ounces is what I lost this week. I didn't even know there was that finite of a number on a scale. That's what I lost this week. That's when it's hard to stay consistent. That's when it's really difficult to stay the course when really at that moment you want to be like, what does it matter anyway? But that is where identity is built when it is inconvenient. Friday matters. Friday, is just an example, but it matters more than you think. If Friday is your typical quitter's day, Friday matters much more than you think. It is really where identity is built. I don't think you need another restart. None of us need another fresh restart, a new fridge clean out. My pattern was always, oh, I'm going to clean out the fridge. That's how I'm going to have my fresh restart. I'm going to clean out the fridge. I'm going to clean out the cabinets. I'm going to buy all the new things. I'm going to get all the supplies I think I need at the grocery store. I'm going to spend way too much money. I'm going to load my fridge full of fresh, clean ingredients so I can have my fresh restart. None of us need another big restart. We don't need another Monday. We don't need another this time will be different. All we need is fewer exits. And when we find ourselves in that position of throwing in the towel, we need a quicker return, an immediate return to the next step, the next choice, the next decision, instead of waiting until Monday or waiting until next week. It's an immediate return. When quitting, I can tell you this, guys, with so much confidence. When you take quitting off the table, when you say, quitting is off the table, I do not quit, period, end of story, it is not an option, your peace increases 1,000-fold. Which is why I stay 100% on plan. Not, I have so many people say, what do you mean? I could never be 100% on plan. What do you mean you stay 100% on plan? Listen, sister, it is so much easier to stay 100% on plan than it is to be on again, off again, on again, off again. I have taken off-plan choices off the table. They're not my food. It's not my food. I don't eat that food. That is not my food. That has increased my peace so much. And like I said, it doesn't mean I don't ever struggle. It doesn't mean I don't ever want a chicken tender. It doesn't mean I don't have my moments because I do. But they are much less frequent than they were ever in my life because I took off-plan choices off the table. My peace has increased a million times. And I think part of that is because the Lord made it clear to me He wanted me to start taking care of my body. And so I kind of went all in and say, you know what? Okay, okay. So these foods for me are not healthy for my body. They were raising my blood sugar, raising my blood pressure, causing me struggles with weight loss, making my lipedema in my legs worse, making arthritis work, making hip pain and joint pain and all of this stuff worse. Why am I eating them at all? It's not bringing me any peace. So I took it off the table. I stopped asking, should I? Should I have this treat? Should I have this bite? Should I? And I started saying instead that things like that's not my food. What can I do in this moment that is on plan? Because that's my choice. I'm staying on plan in this moment, but no alternatives. I took the alternatives off the table, not out of the house, by the way. The choice to put them on my plate was off the table. I am still surrounded by off-plan food, and that's okay with me. In fact, there's a bag of off-plan chips on my desk right here that somebody left this week. It's not my food because I took that option for me off the table. If you already quit this week, it's okay. There's no condemnation here. This is just an invitation to step back in. And I extend that invitation to you anytime you find yourself in a moment of, you find yourself making that slip up. An example might be you went out to eat with friends, you had a plan in your mind, I'm going to get the grilled chicken salad and the blue cheese and all the bacon and all the good stuff, and I'm going to stay on plan. And then you got there and, you know, I don't know, something was on special. All I can think about is chicken tenders, so clearly I have them on the brain. You get there and the chicken tenders are on special and they sound really good because you're at a restaurant that does weird things like puts gravy and cheese on them or something. And you're all excited because, oh my gosh, that sounds really good. I'm just going to go ahead and eat this off plan. The next time you find yourself in that situation and you make that choice to eat off plan, that's where I want you to remember the invitation to return. It's not a fresh start, it's a continuation. Stop looking at it as a fresh start because when we look at the next day, you know what, I'll return tomorrow, it makes it so much easier to push that back a day and push that back a day and push that back a day before it becomes, I'll start again Monday. Your invitation is to return with the next meal. What is the next meal? What is my very next step? Maybe my very next step is I'm going to go for a walk because those chicken tenders are sitting a little heavy. My next step is to go for a walk. I'm returning immediately. That off-plan meal does not define my journey. It doesn't stop me from continuing immediately. I don't need this big fresh start. I just need to return now. I think returning is holy. It doesn't require drama. It doesn't require a fridge clean out and a cabinet clean out. It just requires the next step. It just requires the next yes. That's it. Isolation absolutely makes quitting easier. Oh my goodness gracious, I believe that with all of my heart. Support always makes staying on the journey simpler. And I believe that's because we were never meant to do anything in our lives like this alone. I don't necessarily believe the Lord said, "Oh, thou shalt always diet in community." But what I do believe is that when I look back at the early church and how they lived life, they supported each other. They shared responsibility. They carried each other's burdens. We're told to carry each other's burdens, right? And that's what I believe the early church was like. And I believe that's what we're called to do, is to care for each other, our sisters in Christ, our neighbors, our friends, our family. That is what we are called to do, is to support and encourage. I don't believe we were ever meant to do life alone. And now that I have seen the beauty of being in a community and having the support of a community around me, I understand just how important of a piece that was that I missed for years and years and years. Now, if I lost my community today, I would not, I wouldn't know what to eat if I didn't have women telling me or encourage me and telling me what they ate for breakfast. I would be lost without women in my life to support and encourage me. I don't believe structure in our health journey is restriction. Structure and boundaries, they're not punishment. They are protection. And having structure in our journey, it protects us from quitting. I believe that so much. Having structure, it brings peace to our journey. And women who have structured community that is constant, it doesn't mean that they're stronger. If you look at the women who are thriving in like Wholly Healthy, for example, in that community that are thriving, it's not because they're stronger than some other dieter in the world, it's because they're supported. They have people encouraging and lifting them up and supporting them. Friday does not have to be your failure point. So I say Friday again, it's just an example, but if you maybe Wednesday is the day you struggle with, whatever it is, maybe it's Saturday. Whatever you feel like where your failure point is, where that wall, you always hit that wall and it seems to be the place where you just fall off the wagon. I want you to consider it something different the next time you encounter it. Instead of considering it as, oh, that place where it always, always, always goes bad, I want you to think of it as your training ground. It is your opportunity to practice strength in that moment. It's a training ground. It's an opportunity for change. Don't don't make permanent decisions. Decisions like, you know what, I'm done. Here's just an example. I'm done with Trim Healthy. I'm tired. There's too many there's too many ingredients in these recipes. It's a sandwich. Why does it have 87 and a half ingredients? And three of them are things I've never heard of. I- I'm done. I'm done. Stop making decisions based on exhaustion from a temporary moment, a temporary exhaustion. Friday exhaustion is a liar. It absolutely is a liar. Don't make decisions based on exhaustion. It's so important to look at the moment for what it is. And when you encounter those moments of, I'm about to throw in the towel, I ain't making another thing in my fridge with slimy spinach. I'm done. I've had enough. I'm not doing this anymore. When you hit that moment, I want you to remember that you're in a training ground. This is a training ground on how to work through those moments and recognize what you're feeling in that moment. What really is going on. Maybe I just need a little nanny poopy. In my world, that means a nap. Okay, a nanny poopy is what we call a nap here in Wholly Healthy. If you're not aware, maybe that's all you need is a little nap. A nap fixes everything. All right. So this Friday, when you get to this Friday, I want you to ask yourself, what does staying look like tonight? Maybe that's Saturday, maybe that's Sunday, whatever your moment is. I want you to ask yourself, what does it look like if I stay? What does it look like if I push through the hard that I am more than capable of doing and do the thing that I don't really feel like doing when I'd really much rather have the takeout? Or what does it look like if I stay tonight? That's what I want you to take away from this. Asking yourself that. What does it look like if I stay right now? Maybe it's about exercise. Maybe you an exercise hater. Okay? I can't relate to you. I love exercise. That is a lie. Okay? I do not love exercise. What does it look like for you when you wake up and you have a class on Tuesday morning or Wednesday, whatever? What's tomorrow? Wednesday. You wake up and you have a class on Wednesday morning. You're like, you know what? I don't want to go. I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm exhausted. Instead, in that moment, instead of throwing in the towel, I want you to say, what does staying look like? What does doing that thing that I don't want to do look like? What does it look like on the other side of that when I get through that class? Listen, you go to that class and you cry. It's okay. Because when you cry, you can lift a lot heavier weights. Ask me how I know. I've learned that. It's not about being perfect. It's not about impressing anyone. It's just about faithfulness, you guys. What have you made a commitment to your temple to take care of it? Is that something that you want to do? Is you want to take care of your temple? Do you feel led to take care of the body that God gave you? Is that a conviction that you carry? And if it is, that's all we need is faithfulness. It's not about being perfect. It's not about always getting it right. It's not about impressing anyone. It's about faithfulness. My theme for this year in Holy Healthy is strength. It's simple strength. We're really focusing on simplicity this year, doing things differently, all about strength in our health journey, not just muscle strength, although I mean, look at that. You can't really see it that well, but it's there, that muscle. It's not we're not we are focusing on strength training in Holy Healthy, but we're talking about strength in our journey. And one of the phrases that I'm saying over and over and over and over to myself and to everyone in my group is you don't quit here. This is not where you quit. This is not the moment you quit. This is not the day you quit. This is not the week you quit. This is not the year you quit. You don't quit here. I went to the gym Monday. And I was telling some of you, and many of you were there. I was talking about this Monday night that I was doing sit stands, which is just sitting in a chair and standing up, sitting in a chair and standing up, holding a weight. And I've done that 100 times at the gym, and it's always been like a 10-pound kettlebell, 20-pound kettlebell. Well, this time my trainer said you're going to do a 50-pound kettlebell, and I was like, no, I'm not. No, I can't lift a 50-pound kettlebell up and down, up and down. 50 pounds is a lot of weight when you're sitting and you try to stand up with it. Halfway through, I kept saying to myself, and my trainer was going, "What are you saying?" I was going, "I don't quit here. I don't quit here." And I got through all those kettlebells. That phrase, you guys, is really powerful. I don't quit here. This is not the moment I quit. This is not what takes me down. 50-pound kettlebell is not going to be the end of me. This is not where I quit. So I encourage you to hold on to that phrase this year. I don't quit here. And Holy Healthy, I'm encouraging that all year long is I don't quit here. I don't, this is, I don't. I would love to take a moment. That's my word. I would love you to think of any questions, and I'll come back to you in a moment. If you have questions about anything, I'm going to look through the chat and see if I've missed any questions. But if you have questions, get them ready. You can either come off mute when I'm ready, or you can raise your hand in the Zoom fun functionality stuff. But I want to take a moment to share with you, if you don't mind, what I do have available. Many of you here tonight are in Holy Healthy, and I am beyond grateful to work with every one of you. Like and so many of you we're gonna see each other in Nashville this year, and I can't wait. And it's really awesome. I love being part of this community. But I want to share with you a couple of things that I have, because I'm actually offering on top of Holy Healthy, I have something new that I am offering this year that I haven't really done before. I've done it. I'm doing something a little bit different outside of Holy Healthy, and an additional thing, because I need more to do. I'm bored. Like I need extra things to do, right? So Holy Healthy, if you're not part of the group, Holy Healthy is my group coaching that does not take place in Facebook. Let me just say hallelujah. It takes place off of Facebook on an app called Circle. And I do weekly education there. I have a Monday night Zoom, which is powerfully awesome. Every Monday, I swear, there is either laughter or some major tears. Last night was full of tears. It was powerful, and I got so much out of last night's Zoom. I love Zoom night. So we have a weekly Zoom call. I do education every week. I do a journal for everybody every month. We have what's called the Simple Plate Plan, which is about building simple. We're focusing on simple this year. I am tired. I love me some Trim Healthy, and I love me some Trim Healthy recipes. But I'm at a stage in my life where I want a bowl of cottage cheese and a banana. I don't want to pull out 612 ingredients, and that's okay. We all have seasons, and that's the season I'm in right now of I want simple. And so I'm focusing on simple with the simple plate plan for building out simple meals. I offer every single week, I offer you a sheet called the Just Eat This. And it's literally a sheet of simple, basic meals. When you're at your wit's end and you say, I don't know what to eat. I'm tired, KJ. You look at that list and you just pick something off it. It's a Just Eat This. It's the basics. It's simplicity at its simplest. I also offer the Strength Rhythm, which is a workout routine that can last you a year plus, that is focused on getting you started and continuing in strength training and building up more and more strength. And there's so much more in Wholly Healthy. Wholly Healthy is an amazing community. I'm going to slap the link for that in case anyone is interested in joining that here tonight. I'm going to put that in the chat. I'll come back and look at questions, but that is a little bit about what Wholly Healthy has. I can't even see my chat. And a link for more information on that. Additionally, I want to share with you, this is what I am doing this year. Let me see. No, I can't share. Okay. So this is called Wholly Healthy. That's the theme of my coaching. It's called Built to Last. This is a small group session that will last for 8 weeks. Every 8 weeks, it kind of turns over into another group. So it is an 8-week small group coaching experience, a start to finish system. There will be a course that comes out, a new lesson every week from the day you start. Every week, there's a new lesson for 8 weeks. And it is about step by step, a way to help you build confidence without being overwhelmed, not tons of information overload. It is meant to help you navigate mindset, spiritual health, your food choices, walking you through beginning to end in what has been kind of my journey from the beginning of learning. Like, what have I learned through this journey to get to the point where I am today at down 108 pounds? And like I put on the slide here, 1,000 pounds of mental weight. What got me? What are the steps that got me to that? We're going to focus on the spiritual aspect. We're going to focus on the physical aspect, the mindset aspect, all of it, the food, all of it. There will be a live coaching call every single week in this 8-week course, where there's going to be a little bit of teaching. There will be Q&A for you to ask anything you want. This is separate from my Wholly Healthy Zoom. This is its own exclusive Zoom. Techniques and tips for applying what you've learned. You will have unlimited texting with me personally, and this is why it's a small group, because I can't be texting 1,000 people. I'm not very good at that, but I can be texting a small group of people. So you will have texting support Monday through Friday, because KJ takes weekends off. Well, she likes to think she does. She intends to take weekends off, but she never actually does. But I am writing it into my schedule this time. So texting support from me Monday through Friday. You get a small group community. I utilize Marco Polo and chat a lot for my small groups. And tools that you will always have. You will always have access to the course, simple frameworks to help you, planning tools for meal planning, protocols that you can use long after the 8 weeks end. So this is what that looks like. If I can get my... When you purchase this, you don't just get the 8 weeks and the coaching and all of that. You get, in addition, an Kickstarter kit to get you started immediately until we have our first Zoom. It's a 72-hour jumpstart plan, step-by-step framework of what you need to do in the first 72 hours to really kickstart your journey. You get my Choose Wisely guide. I'm giving you my Turned On course. How many here have taken my Turned On course? Some of you. I don't see a lot of hands. You got it's the methylation course. It's called Turned On. Okay, now I see some hands. This is a course that changes your thought process on the foods you put in your mouth because it teaches you about how your choices impact your DNA, directly impact your DNA. So it's a very powerful course. I'm including that. I include Chain Breakers, which is a food addiction course, um, a Movement Made Simple guide, which is all about beginner right to advanced strength training because oh my gosh, I know what it is like to feel too far gone, like you are not able to begin the strength training journey because you just feel too far gone, you guys. Oh my gosh. I feel that with every ounce of my being. The first day I walked into the gym, I had the worst time not crying because I felt so intimidated, so far beyond help with exercise that I barely got through the interview of the trainer. I can tell you now, I come bouncing in there like, good morning, good morning to everybody. Everybody's like, hi, KJ, stop smiling because I'm excited. Even though I don't always love the effort while it's happening, I love how I feel now that I'm strength training. The things that I can do that I couldn't do, I could have never lifted a 50-pound kettlebell just from seated position. And I know I have a lot more strength in me to grow. So I'm doing a Movement Made Simple guide. And for anybody that jumps on this in the first 48 hours, I'm also doing a one-on-one with you. So the investment in this 8-week course is $997. You have the option to pay 300 ahead and then do 5 weekly payments of 140. It's slightly more that way due to fees from my site and everything, but it's not terribly more. This is an investment, I believe, to my core that you will not regret being part of if you show up to the Zooms, if you utilize the texting, if you utilize the Jumpstart plan, if you do the movement, if you follow the recommendations, if you are part of the group and you are active in the group. There is nothing magical about this at all, that all you have to do is purchase the package and you will suddenly have success. Absolutely nothing. Nothing with this, nothing with Wholly Healthy. I just posted the link for this one here. There is nothing magical about this at all. If you don't put in the effort and invest yourself in it, you're not going to see change. I'm just going to tell you that right up front. You're not going to see change. One of the things we're going to discuss in this 8 weeks is we're going to have sessions talking about hormones and insulin resistance as well. That's also part of this. We'll be discussing wisdom. We'll be discussing Trim Healthy, but also wisdom, because I believe that wisdom is really, at the end of the day, I think that wisdom is the vision Trim Healthy had all along. And it doesn't mean you always have to eat Wizzy, but it's so beautifully balanced and has changed the way I feel about carbs in the most amazing way. I love me some carbs, sister. I won't say I hated carbs. I hated healthy carbs for a long time, and I really struggled to get them in. It's so very different for me now. It's drastically different. My love of carbs because of how I've seen what they've done for my body. So we'll be discussing that in that group as well. And then, of course, there will be time to discuss whatever extra is. You have a specific need that we need to discuss, that will be built into it as well during those weekly sessions. All right, let me jump on the chat and just see if I missed any questions. Did anybody have any? Oh, I gotta scroll way back. Any questions tonight at all? I love that, Shelly. The fact that my husband eats all the junk in front of me has made me so much stronger in resisting temptations and in other situations too. Yes. It's like practice, right? I mean, I used to think that it, I couldn't, years ago, I used to think that I couldn't eat on plan as long as my family was eating junk around me. Like, well, as long as my cupboards are full of junk, I can't stay on plan. I have such a different mindset about that now. I, it doesn't matter. I had to recognize it. You know what? Hershey bars are not going to disappear from the planet. They're going to be somewhere all the time. McDonald's ain't be shutting down just because I struggle with chicken nuggets. Okay, they're going to be in business forever. I am perpetually going to walk by a mall Chinese food, even though really we all know it's probably the worst Chinese food you can eat. There's going to be Chinese food smells at the mall, and I got to be okay with that. And learning how to be okay with that has been really powerful. Really, really powerful. Faith. Mitzi doesn't understand it as much. Neither does Winnie. Oh, I was almost going to say Sebastian. She doesn't either. She thinks that everything on my plate is her plate. Trying to teach a puppy that is not that easy. Oh, Bridget, thank you. I know. I feel like sometimes I tell the story of my on again, off again dieting too much. And yet every time I tell that story of how on again, off again my life was, somebody goes, man, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the only one that had that struggle. All right, let's see. Okay. All right, girls. So no questions tonight. We're all questioned out. We're all tired. And we learned that exhaustion means what? That we're drained and we're not going to ask any questions. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I love you. I appreciate you being here. You have no idea how much it means to me that, especially those of you that have been in group with me for a long time and you just keep showing up to all the things, and it means so, so much to me. So much to me. Yes, I'm going to download it right now. Tina, I just have to download and then upload it to YouTube. And yes, Elizabeth, I had a trouble with the download last night and I need to restart the download for last night's Zoom and get it uploaded. I'm glad you mentioned that because it errored out last night and I have to redo it. I have to redo it and get it uploaded today. I'm going to do that tonight when this finishes. This has to upload to the cloud, then I have to download it, and then I have to upload it to YouTube. So there's a lot of up and down. It just takes a few minutes, but I'll also send it out in an email and I'll be posting it on YouTube. I always post these talks on YouTube. So, all right, girls, I love you so much. I hope you have an amazing rest of your night. And I hope to see you tomorrow morning on Joyful Daily Devotions. Love you guys.